Manchester United. United fans are historical because they live in the past, and every single argument they make is rooted in the Sir Alex Ferguson era. They treat the last decade of failure like a temporary inconvenience, a brief power outage before the inevitable return to glory. They will remind you that they have 20 league titles as if those were won last Tuesday. Every new manager is immediately compared to Fergie. Every new youth player is the next Giggs or Scholes. The current state of the club, the ownership turmoil, the chaotic spending, the rotating managers, is simply brushed off as an unfortunate anomaly. Fans love to quote the transfer fees of rivals but forget they've spent over £1 billion since 2013 on players who mostly flopped. They view their current stars with an inflated sense of self-importance. Marcus Rashford is often discussed as a global superstar, even when his scoring drops off. They also have an incredible ability to blame everyone else for their woes: the Glazers, the referees, the media, the grass at Old Trafford, anyone but the history they cling to. When they manage a big win, like against Liverpool, they instantly declare the dynasty is back. And when they lose the next week to Bournemouth, they simply shrug and remind you of the 1999 treble. United fans are historical because they have convinced themselves that past greatness is a perpetual shield against present mediocrity. Liverpool fans are faithful because their loyalty is defined by suffering, and they believe the universe owes them a title for surviving decades of near misses. They've gone from the pure agony of the 30-year league drought to the euphoric peak of the Jurgen Klopp era, and the emotional pendulum has permanently swung to extreme passion. They love to talk about the atmosphere at Anfield like it's a living, breathing, unbeatable entity that wins games for the players. Every major victory, the Champions League comeback against Barcelona, the 2020 title, is framed as a cosmic reward for the suffering endured in the 80s and 90s. They have a passionate, almost religious fervor for their legends. Steven Gerrard is still discussed in hushed tones, even after his slip. Their pain is their badge of honor. They take pride in the hard times because it makes the wins feel more earned. They are also known for their relentless complaining about refereeing decisions, viewing any unfavorable call as a clear, historical conspiracy against the club. If they are winning 5-0, they will still be arguing about a throw-in they missed 20 minutes ago. And when they finally win a major trophy, they celebrate with a global, deafening roar, reminding everyone that this means more. Liverpool fans are faithful because their devotion is tied to the trauma of the past, and they believe every new trophy is a karmic correction. Arsenal fans are bipolar because they swing wildly between delusional title contention and existential crisis, often within the span of a single week. They are the masters of the false dawn. Every preseason, the talk is always about winning the quadruple, and every March, the talk is about rebuilding for next year. They treat their young players with an almost suffocating level of hype. Bukayo Saka is discussed as the most valuable player in the world, and any dip in his form is treated as a national tragedy. This fan base loves to claim moral victories and philosophical high ground. They criticize clubs like Chelsea and Manchester City for spending their way to titles, yet celebrate every single £100 million transfer their own club makes. Their defining state is anxiety. They will be leading the league by 8 points, but fans will still be frantically predicting the collapse because they have seen the film too many times. They suffer from the Wenger hangover, constantly seeking the aesthetic perfection of the Invincibles while screaming about the need for ruthless pragmatism. The moment they lose one game, the fan base instantly melts down, firing up the trade machine and demanding the manager be sacked, only to instantly rally and proclaim the title is still on the moment they score an early goal in the next fixture. Arsenal fans are bipolar because their history has taught them that hope is always fleeting, making their moments of belief incredibly high and their crashes devastatingly low. Chelsea fans are transactional because they judge success purely on silverware, and they treat the club's structure and strategy with a cold, almost corporate impatience. They have been conditioned by the Roman Abramovich era to expect instant gratification. They went from winning the Champions League to hiring and firing 6 managers in 5 years, and the only constant is the demand for trophies. They are ruthlessly unsentimental. A club legend can be fired, sold, or exiled, and the fans will justify it instantly, provided the next guy brings home the silverware. They view the transfer market as a shopping spree. Every problem on the pitch can be solved by buying a new £80 million player in January. They treat their managers like disposable assets, a hero one year, a mistake the next. They love to boast about the trophy count since 2003, as if the history of football began with the arrival of Abramovich's cash. The current situation, with the American ownership group and the chaotic spending, is simply seen as a challenge. They expect the new structure to deliver titles immediately, or else they demand a complete overhaul. They are the most results-driven fan base in the league. Chelsea fans are transactional because they equate love for the club with the achievement of winning, and nothing else matters. Manchester City. Manchester City fans are defiant because they are obsessed with proving their legitimacy, and they view every success through the lens of their rivals' historical dismissal. They have gone from being the noisy neighbors to the dominant force in English football, yet the feeling of being underestimated and unfairly judged still fuels their support. They treat every trophy they win not just as a victory, but as a rebuttal to every past insult. Their history, the dark days in the lower divisions, the years spent in the shadow of United, is a constant rallying cry. They feel personally attacked by every mention of financial fair play and the club's state ownership, viewing the criticism as pure envy from the establishment. They will relentlessly remind rivals that the league is competitive now because of them, not despite them. They are fiercely loyal to their current stars, particularly Pep Guardiola and Kevin De Bruyne, treating their mastery of the game as a personal validation. They love to point out the empty seats at Old Trafford or the decades of failure at Liverpool, always positioning their own success as a moral victory against the old guard. The sheer dominance they currently hold is often celebrated with a touch of aggression. They are not just winning, they are rubbing the establishment's nose in it. Manchester City fans are defiant because their identity is built on overcoming historical disrespect, and they will never let anyone forget how far they've climbed. Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs fans are optimists because they perpetually believe that this is the year, even though they have an absolute inability to close the deal. They are the league's most lovable underachievers. They have a beautiful stadium, world-class training facilities, and often some of the most exciting players, yet they remain locked in a decades-long pursuit of a major trophy. They suffer from the Spursy curse, the agonizing, predictable failure at the very moment success is within reach. Fans treat every new signing and every promising start to the season with an almost manic level of belief, only for the inevitable crash to occur around March. They find joy in aesthetics. They will claim their team is the best team to watch even if they lose 4-3. Their main goal, year after year, is simply to finish above Arsenal, treating the battle for fourth place as if it were the Champions League final itself. They constantly debate whether to sack the manager or to buy a new striker, but deep down, they know the problem is systemic, historical, and perhaps unavoidable. Harry Kane leaving was the definitive proof that even generational talent eventually leaves because the club cannot deliver the silverware they crave. They are the definition of, next year, always hoping, always believing, and always falling short. Spurs fans are optimists because they have perfected the art of finding hope in the face of inevitable disappointment, and they genuinely believe the drought is always one summer transfer window away from ending. Leeds United. Leeds fans are warriors because their entire identity is based on defiance, high-octane passion, and a siege mentality forged by years of persecution. They are the most volatile and noisy fan base in the country. Their defining characteristic is the unwavering belief that they are Leeds, and therefore, they are better than everyone else, regardless of the league table. They wear the label of most hated club as a badge of honor. Their years spent in the lower divisions were not viewed as failure, but as a trial by fire that only intensified their loyalty. Every match at Elland Road is a deafening declaration of war against the opposition and the referee. They are deeply sensitive to national media coverage, believing the London press constantly tries to tear them down. They treat their rivalry with Manchester United as a foundational conflict, and will chant about it even if they are playing a team from the bottom of the table. Their biggest disappointment is that their passion often outstrips the team's ability to match it. Leeds fans are warriors because they have channeled all their pain and belief into a single, aggressive, all-or-nothing loyalty that demands total commitment from anyone wearing white. Leicester City. Leicester fans are grateful because they know the world changed in 2016, and they hold on to the magic of their impossible title as the ultimate achievement. They are defined by the impossible fairy tale. Everything that happens now, good or bad, is measured against the emotional high of winning the Premier League at 5,000 to 1 odds. They treat their club like a beloved underdog that peaked early and now has to live with the memory. They are a genuinely warm fanbase, but they will subtly, constantly, remind any rival of that single, world-changing triumph. They treat their club's financial strategy, buying low, selling high, with a pragmatic acceptance, knowing that being a small-town club means you have to operate differently. They mourn the dismantling of their title-winning squad, but accept it as the cost of having lived the dream. Their biggest collective nightmare is falling back into the obscurity of the championship, which proves that even after the ultimate success, anxiety still remains. Leicester fans are grateful because they won football's lottery. and they will never let anyone forget that one time they beat the entire system. Southampton. Southampton fans are self-loathing because they are caught in a vicious cycle of academy pride and immediate club failure, leading to a profound sense of fatalism. They are defined by the Saints Academy, the relentless conveyor belt of world-class talent they produce: Bale, Walcott, Shaw, Lalana, Van Dijk, only to watch those players leave for massive fees. They take immense pride in the youth setup, but simultaneously suffer the agony of having their best work sold off every summer. They are a fan base constantly bracing for the next big transfer and the inevitable poor performance that follows. They are defined by their humiliating, record-breaking losses. The 9-0 defeats are treated as historical low points that permanently scarred the club's psyche. They have a deeply held rivalry with Portsmouth. They are cynical but ultimately devoted, believing that their club will always be the source of great players for others, but never great success for themselves. Southampton fans are self-loathing because they are the Premier League's definitive feeder club, and they know their excellence is always used to benefit their rivals. Burnley. Burnley fans are stoic because they treat the Premier League like a necessary, uncomfortable invasion of their quiet, local way of life. They are fiercely proud of their town and its working-class heritage, and their club, Burnley FC, is seen as a defiant symbol of that identity. Their focus is purely on survival. They prioritize grit, defensive resilience, and old-school commitment over flashy continental football. They view the influx of foreign ownership and tactical complexity with suspicion, preferring the simple, direct approach. Their greatest pride is their ability to punch above their weight, constantly proving that a small, Lancashire club can survive among the giants. Their support at Turf Moor is intensely local and vocal. They view their fan base as the proper, football fans, the ones who haven't been corrupted by modern money or global reach. Their greatest fear is being relegated and losing their hard-won seat at the top table. Burnley fans are stoic because they view the Premier League as a grueling test of endurance, and their ultimate triumph is simply being there. Brentford. Brentford fans are innovators because they view the club's success as a triumph of data and cold, hard logic over the established Premier League financial order. They are the Moneyball fan base. They spent decades in the lower leagues, and now that they've arrived, they treat every win as validation of their owner's analytical model. They don't just celebrate goals, they celebrate successful recruitment cycles and high-value player sales. They are fiercely proud of their scouting network and their ability to find unheralded talent, viewing their intelligence as the ultimate equalizer against the billionaires. They view their new, modern stadium as a necessary, if slightly less romantic, upgrade from the beloved, cramped Griffin Park and its pub on every corner. They are constantly waiting for the big clubs to try and steal their players, knowing it's the inevitable consequence of their success. They are the most pragmatic fanbase in London, accepting that financial reality means selling players like Ivan Toney is just part of the long-term plan. Brentford fans are innovators because they believe the smartest club deserves to win, and they treat their Premier League status as proof that superior strategy beats superior spending. Fulham. Fulham fans are genteel because they view their club as a charming, picturesque hobby that offers a delightful alternative to the grime and chaos of other London clubs. They are defined by Craven Cottage, the beautiful, unique stadium on the riverbank that makes the matchday experience feel more like a pleasant Sunday outing than a brutal battle. They are an affable, polite, and disproportionately middle-class fanbase, known for enjoying the history of the club and the atmosphere more than demanding immediate silverware. They are the definition of casual devotion. They suffer from a strange cyclical existence, bouncing between the Premier League and the Championship, yet never achieving prolonged success or suffering prolonged, intense trauma. They treat their local rivalries, like with Chelsea, with wry amusement rather than white-hot hatred. They are proud of their reputation as the neutral's second favorite club. Fulham fans are genteel because they are happy to simply be at the party, enjoying the aesthetic of football without the suffocating demands of winning everything. Aston Villa. Villa fans are traditionalists because they treat their club like a sleeping giant that is constantly being held back by a lack of respect from the London media. They are obsessed with their past European success. The 1982 European Cup win is their most sacred text, and view themselves as an elite club temporarily displaced from the top table. They demand a high standard of football that matches their historic pedigree, and anything less than a European spot is considered failure. They take deep, personal pride in the club's academy, viewing players like Jack Grealish as the ultimate symbol of homegrown excellence, even after they've been sold. When they finally achieve success, like qualifying for a European competition, they celebrate it with a passion that says, "We told you we belonged here." But they are also deeply cynical, knowing that history is often followed by disappointing mid-table finishes. They constantly debate whether their players are getting the national attention they deserve, always feeling like they are the most underrated club in the country. Villa fans are traditionalists because they believe their club's legacy guarantees future greatness, and they treat current success as a simple correction of history. West Ham United. West Ham fans are dramatic because their entire existence is defined by a chaotic struggle between identity and ambition, typically ending in a spectacular failure. They are defined by the phrase, "the West Ham way," a mythical commitment to stylish, attacking football and homegrown talent that rarely translates to consistent success. They treat their move from the beloved, cramped Upton Park to the massive, sterile London Stadium as a foundational betrayal, symbolizing the sacrifice of their soul for commercial gain. Their fan base is notoriously volatile. They will worship a manager who gets them into Europe one season, then turn on him violently the next for playing boring football. They love their cult heroes, the flair players and the local lads, but are quick to turn on anyone who doesn't show enough passion. Every transfer window is a high-stakes lottery, and every European campaign is treated like a pilgrimage, yet the reality is often a relegation battle. They are also famous for their intense, visceral rivalry with Spurs and Millwall, where the animosity often eclipses the importance of the actual football. West Ham fans are dramatic because they are stuck between a glorious but impossible past and a volatile, uncertain future, making every match a theatrical event. Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton fans are tactical because they treat their club like a data experiment that proves that smarter management can beat old money. They have one of the most unique psychological profiles in the league. They suffered through years of near bankruptcy in non-league football, and now, their success is viewed as a vindication of patience and statistical analysis. They don't worship individual players as much as they worship the system and the model. They are intensely proud of their ability to buy players cheaply, develop them into stars, and sell them for massive profit, treating the transfer market as an advanced victory condition. They are obsessed with their manager's style of play, debating XG and pressing metrics as keenly as goals. They are constantly looking over their shoulder, knowing that their best players and managers are always one huge transfer fee away from leaving for a bigger club. They are the league's intellectual snobs, believing their success is deserved because it was earned through superior strategy, not sheer financial firepower. Brighton fans are tactical because they have weaponized patience and smart analysis, and their loyalty is to the process, not just the names on the back of the shirts. Nottingham Forest. Forest fans are romantic because they are locked into a permanent devotion to their incredible, but impossibly distant, glory days. They are defined by two words: Brian Clough. The memory of winning back-to-back European Cups in 1979 and 1980 is the foundation of their identity, and every present-day action is measured against that legendary achievement. Their decades spent outside the Premier League were a period of deep trauma, and their recent promotion was viewed as a historical injustice being corrected. They are fiercely passionate and deeply local. They treat the City ground like a sacred site. Their biggest anxiety is returning to the abyss of the Championship, which makes every season an intense emotional roller coaster. They often demand immediate, aggressive spending to secure their Premier League status, viewing the new financial backing as the tool to finally reconnect with their glorious past. They will always boast about their 2 European Cups to silence the banter of rivals who have never won one. Forest fans are romantic because they believe that the ghosts of their past legends are guiding their present-day survival, and their goal is not just to win, but to be worthy of Clough's memory. Crystal Palace. Palace fans are chaotic because they treat the matchday experience like a constant, deafening party, regardless of what the score actually is. They are defined by the Ultras culture, the drumming, the flares, the relentless noise of the Holmesdale fanatics behind the goal. Their focus is not on league position or European qualification, it is on atmosphere and raw energy. They are fiercely South London-centric, viewing the entire area as their exclusive territory, and their rivalries with Brighton and Millwall are intensely personal and territorial. They have accepted their status as a mid to lower table club, meaning their victories, especially against the London Giants, are celebrated with disproportionate, manic joy. They are hugely supportive of homegrown talent, viewing players who came through the academy, like Wilfried Zaha, even when he left, as local deities. Their biggest worry is that their identity will be diluted by new investment, or a loss of their unique, frenetic energy. They often complain about the blandness of modern football, positioning themselves as the last bastion of old-school, volatile passion. Palace fans are chaotic because they prioritize noise and spectacle above all else, treating every single fixture as a defiant, South London rave. Wolverhampton Wanderers, Wolves. Wolves fans are ambitious because they saw what was possible, and now they demand a return to the financial and stylistic heights they briefly touched. They are defined by their brief, exciting period under the Fosun ownership, where they played attacking football, signed Portuguese stars, and challenged for European spots. That taste of high-level success permanently raised their expectations. They view themselves as a club that should be challenging for the top 7, not fighting relegation. They have deep, tribal loyalty to their local rivals, particularly West Brom. They are fiercely protective of their recent Portuguese connection, often holding a sentimental attachment to players and managers associated with that era. When the style of play changes, becoming more defensive or pragmatic, fans become instantly agitated, viewing it as a betrayal of their modern identity. Their biggest disappointment is the regression after that initial wave of success. They are constantly looking for the next big investment, or the next tactical genius to bring back the flair. Wolves fans are ambitious because they know what life is like when the club is successfully punching above its weight, and they view anything less than that as a massive step backward. Everton fans are victims because their entire identity is built upon perpetual, agonizing injustice and the historical shadow of their rivals, Liverpool. They view the world through a paranoid, deeply pessimistic lens. They suffered through the Moshiri era of shocking financial mismanagement and relegation battles, and they wear the trauma like a badge of courage. They will remind you constantly that they are one of the founding clubs of the Football League and that they have a proud history, which serves to make the present pain even more acute. Their stadium, Goodison Park, is treated with a sacred reverence, symbolizing the club's struggle against modernity. They are perpetually convinced that the referees, the media, the Premier League administration, and of course, Liverpool, are all conspiring against them. Any unfavorable decision is instantly deemed conclusive proof of the conspiracy. They are a fan base stuck in a cycle of desperation. When they win, it is a brief reprieve, and when they lose, it is the confirmation of their deepest fears. Their constant demand is simply for respect and survival. They have learned to celebrate small victories, like avoiding relegation, as if they were winning the title. Everton fans are victims because they feel the Premier League's wealth and glamour have deliberately left them behind, and their suffering has become their identity. Newcastle United. Newcastle fans are emotional because their passion is overwhelming, pure, and often totally irrational, making every result an existential high or low. This is a fan base that views the club as the heartbeat of the city, and the relationship is a volatile, intense, and immediate bond. They suffered decades of underachieving under the Mike Ashley regime, which created a deep, pent-up reservoir of frustration. The moment the Saudi Public Investment Fund (PIF) took over, that emotion exploded into euphoric, immediate belief. Fans are now living in a state of exhilarating transition. They treat every new signing, no matter how small, as a signal that the club is finally challenging the elite. Their identity is all about the spectacle and the noise. The St. James Park roar is considered a genuine weapon. They are fiercely proud of their working-class roots and their legends, like Alan Shearer, who is treated like footballing royalty. However, their passion can quickly turn to fury. They demand relentless effort and success, and any poor performance is met with intense, immediate criticism. They are a fan base constantly trying to balance their working-class identity with their new, controversial oil wealth, but the primary emotion is always just sheer, unadulterated passion. Newcastle fans are emotional because they have been starved of success for so long that every win feels like a miracle, and every loss feels like a crime. What's wrong, true, or missing about your favorite club? Tell us in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video with your fellow football loved ones and hit that bell so you don't miss the next countdown. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, leave a like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe cause I'll be posting frequently here.